Hello, my name is Kristen Roseberry, and I'm a program consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Today, we will be talking about a couple of topics as they relate to our high school students. Our agenda for today includes information about the SAT State Administration Accountability, Student Data Review and Rosters, and Post-Secondary Readiness. I will also have some information for you about KDE committee work opportunities. Let's start with SAT State Administration information. The test dates for the state administration are March 2nd through April the 10th. Please note that this is different from previous college admissions exam state administrations. There are not separate windows for initial and makeup testing. All testing must take place during this 6-week window. All testing, both initial and makeup, must be complete by April 10th. Students with a program service plan have specific access to English learner supports provided that the accommodations are clearly documented in their plan. While College Board system does not require documentation for certain supports, it remains the district's responsibility to ensure that they only request supports for which a student is formally identified on their IEP, 504 plan, or PSP. Supports should not be requested or provided unless they are explicitly included in the student's official plan. The word-to-word bilingual dictionary and translated test directions do not require SSD entry, but must still be listed as an accommodation in the PSP. In all cases, documentation in the PSP is required for students to receive these supports. Collecting parent consent for participation for the SAT state administration is not required. However, districts and schools must provide written notification to parents or guardians to ensure that they are informed that their students will have the opportunity to share their SAT scores with up to 4 colleges or universities at no cost. A parent notification template letter for student participation in the SAT is available on the KDE College Admissions Exam webpage under Resources. The student readiness check completed in Blue Book will take approximately 20 minutes to complete. Schools should plan to complete the student readiness check 1 to 2 weeks prior to testing. The purpose of the student readiness check is to ensure that test devices meet technical requirements, ensure that Blue Book is installed correctly on those devices, complete the exam setup process, which includes reviewing test taker rules, providing optional test taker information, and opt into the Big Future School and Connections. Students will also have the option to share their scores with colleges and universities for free. And finally, it will allow students to complete test preview or full-length practice tests. College Board has some required online training for building assessment coordinators. Your proctors, technology monitors, as well as hall and room monitors can complete the online training or receive in-person training from the building assessment coordinator. For proctors and technology monitors, they must complete the associated knowledge check within their College Board professional account regardless of how they receive the training. SSD coordinators have access to an optional SSD training module. Training must be completed by February 27th. The College Board Kentucky SAT webpage linked here is a great resource. I've also included the dedicated Kentucky customer service phone number and email address on this slide. Now we will discuss accountability, student data review and rosters, and post-secondary readiness. The SAT Junior State Administration is used as an option for students to meet benchmarks in post-secondary readiness set by the Council on Post-Secondary Education. KRS 158.6455 requires that post-secondary readiness for each high school student be measured by one benchmark. Students can demonstrate post-secondary readiness by meeting or exceeding a college readiness benchmark score on the state administration of the college admissions exam or a college placement exam approved by the Council on Post-Secondary Education. More information about how a student can achieve post-secondary readiness in Kentucky's accountability system can be found in the Post-Secondary Readiness Indicator Training. This chart displays the current benchmark scores set by the Council on Post-Secondary Education used to determine post-secondary readiness in Kentucky's accountability system. When students receive their score reports for the SAT, it will have SAT benchmarks set by College Board identified on it. However, for accountability purposes, KDE uses the SAT benchmarks set by the Council on Post-Secondary Education. The SAT state administration is a required state assessment. However, because it is one of the many ways for students to achieve post-secondary readiness, non-participation will not be collected as part of the spring 2026 administration. For any student that does not participate in the administration, documentation needs to be kept at a local level because it could be requested during monitoring visits. SAT will be included in SDRR as part of the post-secondary readiness indicator in grade 12 and upon graduation in spring rosters and fall data review in SDRR under post-secondary readiness scores. Now we'll discuss some KDE committee work opportunities. The Kentucky Department of Education is seeking Kentucky educators to assist in several assessment-related tasks that will take place in 2026. K-12 and post-secondary educators, as well as community stakeholders interested in participating in assessment and accountability committee work, are needed. A pool of candidates is being gathered for activities that will occur. A Google form will be shared with DACs to forward to qualified applicants. A large portion of this work will be accomplished virtually, and participants will receive a stipend. This slide displays the dates and locations for our February DAC question and answer sessions. The agenda and times on the slide will be followed. However, once an agenda item has no additional questions, staff will move on to the next topic. Since the live question and answer sessions will not include full presentations of content already covered in the video recordings, before attending, you can be prepared by watching all or pertinent training videos on the administration of the spring 2026 assessments. That concludes the high school February DAC training. Thank you for taking the time to view this training.